This is Kenneth Deere's official documentation.
Zurich, Montreal, Geneva.
A passport issued by his people because he doesn't see himself as Canadian.
We prefer to identify ourselves as Mohawk and travel back and forth in our homeland as Mohawk.
The U.S. recognizes a treaty that allows Indigenous people to travel across the border freely. But in Canada, it's not accepted, forcing Deere to constantly explain and justify his right to travel through his territory that stretches across the Canada-U.S. border.
It's incredibly frustrating, and also it's demeaning for the government of Canada to say that you can't cross freely in your own homeland.
Mark Miller learned a lot about the issue as the former Minister of Federal Indigenous Departments.
That's something that I think we need to fix as a country.
Now, as the new immigration minister, Miller says it's time Canada recognizes Indigenous peoples have a fundamental right to move freely through their homelands across international boundaries.
It'll take time, but it is one of my top priorities.
It's, I think, long overdue that Canada take this issue seriously.
Natan Obed has personally appealed to the government for help. The Inuit leader says families in Canada are separated from relatives in Alaska and Greenland, communities cut off from traditional harvesting spots in the sea and land.
It disrupts our society. It disrupts the natural way in which we live our lives.
A senior government source says Ottawa is considering amending immigration legislation. It's also looking at whether to grant exemptions for Indigenous people living outside of the country to live and possibly work in Canada. A decision is expected by next year. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.